really don't take the time to really see and find out what's going down what's happening on the ground. And you're on the ground and you're telling them, listen, this roof is going to cave in, this roof is going to cave in, and not until the roof cave in. Mm-hmm. Everybody acts like they didn't know the roof was going to cave in.
Interesting. All right, so we do have a treat for you tonight. As I've mentioned, we have Lifestyle Digital Media, their CEO, Ethan Quant, who, as I said, I gave a little prelude for a couple of minutes now, speaking about marketing, branding, public relations, and everything that you've read about for the past 8 to 10 weeks, and now you get to see it all come to fold and to fruition. Ethan is absolutely amazing at what he does. He has a very competent team. He's been doing it for years in and years out. I just think to bring a vision to life and to bring a story to life and to bring a brand to life and to have a call to action where you have people have a level of emotional appeal to whatever they're seeing, viewing, hearing is an art and a science, actually. And so I think it was only fitting to have someone. It's good to hear it from the text, see it from the text. These texts are written in the international or US-based system. And so why not hear it from someone who's been doing it in our own system and internationally and can provide a measure of discourse that can help you to understand all you've read over the past 8 to 10 weeks now coming to an end, and you're able to ask questions, real life questions. You're not allowed, as I said, again, to use Ethan for your final project because he is a guest presenter, but you are allowed to ask questions. And like I said, those questions can be geared towards some of the answers that some of the persons based on your final project will give. But without further ado, I want to allow Ethan Quant to take the floor and to speak to you for the next couple of minutes relative to, or however long it is, relative to his presentation and any questions that you may have. Ethan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Leo. Can everybody hear me well?
Perfectly.
Awesome. I guess this is a non-camera crew. Being somebody in the digital, in the media space, I'm a firm believer in cameras on.
I tell them to be camera ready tonight, but if you are, you can turn on your cameras so you can have a dialogue with Ethan, please, if you are.
All right. So first of all, I want to say, Dr. Leo, thanks for inviting me to speak to this amazing group of people tonight. I want to get just kind of an appreciation for everybody's understanding of what brand is. So if you could just give me an understanding of what brand is, why it's important, and maybe some areas that you want me to touch on. I do have an actual presentation prepared, but just so I can know where I can add the most value. Anybody? Joshua, you can hear me?
Hello?
Hi.
You said you wanted to know the...
Yeah, just the understanding of brand and kind of where everybody is, so I could know which angle to hit the topic from, because I do have a prepared presentation, but I tend to like my presentations to be a bit more interactive, and so just having a better appreciation for maybe areas of interest, your understanding of brand. Are we talking personal brand, business brand, things like that, just so I can know where I can add the most value?
I would say like a brand is a way a person or a company wants to present themselves to the public. It's not just, I guess, logos. It could be visual. It could be on the radio or something like that. Why is it important? It is important for, I guess, customer loyalty.
It also is important to help the business grow, recognition, and also differentiation from other companies.
All right, great. And no, thank you so much. That's Barry. Akiria, thank you so much for that. And you're pretty much right on point. And so if we were to talk about brand, and typically my area of expertise fall in two main buckets, corporate branding, which is essentially storytelling, and then personal branding. We work with senior executives, high net worth individuals to really help them build their personal brand. And really, to your point, brand is really simply just the story that people tell about you when you're not in the room. It really is just your reputation. And so what I want to do is, and just so that, like I said, I want to make sure that I add as much value as possible. We're more interested in learning a little bit more about personal branding or corporate branding, business branding.
If you could speak on both, that would be nice.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, so I have, all right, so what I can do is I'll start off with business, okay? And let me see, I should be able to share my screen.
Yeah, let me know if you have any challenges, but it should allow you to. Yes, we can see it.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let me. Trying to get, there you go. All right, so everybody can see that, right? The full screen?
Yes.
All right, great. So you should be seeing presence to performance, turning your digital footprint into ROI. And this is something that we work with our corporate clients a lot because unfortunately, even in 2025, we find that a lot of companies and senior execs feel as though, investing in corporate content, investing in expanding your digital footprint from a content standpoint is really, or from a branding standpoint, is really a nice to have, not necessarily a need to have. And so we find that this is really something that a lot of executives struggle with, right? But what I want to do is your brand, really speaks to how you're showing up online, right? And if you guys could take a moment, just scan that QR code, that would give you, that actually take you to my my Instagram, because I am one who is also looking to build and grow my personal brand as well. So I'll just leave that here for a couple of more seconds on the screen. I know time is short.
I don't see a QR code, Ethan. Did you switch to it? Does anyone else see it?
No, I just was gonna say it's not visible.
It's instantly or anything.
Okay, hold on, wait. Let me see.
Comparative.
Okay. Let me try this again.
Okay. There you go. You got it now.
Oh, I think I see what's happening. All right. And y'all could see, y'all saw that. Y'all can see the screen change now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So let me put the QR code back on so y'all can see that. So you can just scan that quickly. All right. Now, when we talk about visibility, it's not, like I said, it's not a nice to have. It's actually a need to have now. It's actually a business imperative. Your digital presence is your first impression. customers research you before they contact you. And the fact is that visibility drives credibility, and credibility drives opportunity. Before anyone picks up the phone, schedules a meeting, or walks into your office, they've already formed an opinion. And so visibility is no longer optional. It shapes your company's reputation and determines who gives you a chance. Now, if you think about even our own personal behavior, right? The reality is that all of us have what we call human nature. And so if you think about, and maybe you guys can let me know, what is one of the first things that you do when you need a new service or a new product, or you need recommendations for something? What is one of the first things you do?
I Google it.
Google it, okay.
Yeah, research.
How do you research MOE? Mo?
Tonight, Mr. Quan, through either social media, Facebook, and Google it as well.
Okay. I know one of the first things I do is I go in my one of the millions of chat WhatsApp groups I have, and I say, hey, anybody knows an electrician or anybody knows these things, right? And so, but all of these are digital forms, right? And once we do that, Google, we look on social media, if you come across somebody who hasn't or who doesn't have much of a social media presence, one of the first things you're going to do is wonder, okay, well, is this really a real business, right? But even how I share contact information now for businesses that I recommend, I would give them, their Instagram, right? I'll say, check out their Instagram or their TikTok or their website, right? If I'm being honest, maybe not even so much their website. And so when you look at the stats, though, really 70% of all decisions start online. And what that means is that before you have a chance to actually sell them in person or before they pick up the phone, they are going to Google you. They're going to check you out on social. They're going to ask friends and family. But it starts all in the digital space. And so consistency in consistent brand content, high quality brand content that actually builds visibility is going to increase your brand recognition about 5 times. And so when you have outdated or non-existent online content, non-existent presence online, you're going to lose out of a lot of opportunities. Those who shared that, you may Google or do research, have you ever contacted a company that you didn't find online? Like, I mean, if you were searching for a company, did you ever call a company that wasn't there?
No, sir, not me. I don't recall.
Right. Because in most instances, if they're not there, you aren't going to see them. And so you wouldn't even have the opportunity to call them, right? And so, think about, like I said, your last major decision, whether that's a bank, vendor, hotel, consultant, you did check them out online first. And the audience that companies are trying to reach, the prospects and the prospective and future clients and partners that they're trying to reach are all doing the same thing. And so if your digital footprint is weak or outdated, you are losing opportunities, you are losing sales, and you really don't even know that you're losing them because they aren't even getting in contact with you in the first place. And so when we talk about how visibility builds trust and the fact that trust does drive ROI, there's some things that we want to look at. So visibility builds credibility, credibility builds conversion. And so having an increased brand presence online through high quality content increases brand awareness. It shortens sales cycles. It really fosters stronger customer loyalty. And something that a lot of our clients are now realizing as well is that you attract better talent. One of the biggest challenges that I think all small, medium, large businesses are facing is how do we attract high quality talent into our businesses to really pick up the cause. And so having this content, having this increased visibility, controlling the narrative of your brand story online actually does lead to better talent acquisition because you attract that. And this is something that I can say I'm happy to say that we have utilized as far as our own recruitment, our talent recruitment efforts, and that people see the content that Lifestyles is posting online. They say, you know what, I think I want to be a part of this. And so content isn't just about posting for posting's sake. It's about engineering trust at scale. And so organizations with strong visibility convert faster, retain longer, and recruit easier and build pricing power. So this is how we're talking about the fact that visibility delivers high, measurable ROI. Y'all with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if, at any point, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to just kind of chime in, okay? Now, when we talk about the return of investment of strategic visibility, breaking it down into short term, midterm, and long term. In the short term, what happens is that you get an increase in inquiries. So you get more people reaching out, inquiring about the products and services that you provide. You get increased traffic, and this could be increased online traffic, increased traffic on social media, as well as actual physical increased traffic within your store if you have a brick and mortar. And of course, increased visibility. People start to see you more often in more places. And so in the midterm, you get reduced friction and stronger trust. Now, when we talk about friction in this context, we're talking about the things that may hinder conversion. It may hinder a prospect or a potential client coming in and actually utilizing your products and service. And of course, in the midterm, stronger trust, we know that people do business with companies and individuals that they know, like, and trust. And so in the midterm, building stronger trust through increased visibility is really a solid component of the ROI. And then in the long term, you build brand equity and market leadership. And so if you think about some of the top brands that you know, locally and internationally, in industries around, in various industries, these things come top of mind. When you think about sneakers, Nike comes top of mind, right? When you think about makeup, Fenty comes top of mind. When you think about, vacations and trips, Airbnb comes to mind. And so these companies and organizations have really, over the long term, built the brand equity and really carved out a large share of the market to be a market leader. And so we've even seen behemoth organizations in logistics, finance, and hospitality gain 40% more qualified leads just from consistent weekly posts. And this data is coming from our own pool of clients. And so visibility compounds, and it compounds into revenue, okay? And so when we talk about now, one of the things that we get our clients, our corporate clients to understand is that, content, and when we're talking about content, we're talking about, creating an environment of trust and transparency in the market. It's very important to get the leadership of the organization out in front of the cameras as well. And we're talking about whether that's high quality video content or photo content. And so I think it was Barry or Mo who said it. Somebody said it, that brand is more than, I think it was, brand is more than just logos, right? And so when we're talking about getting leadership, this actually accelerates the organizational growth because people trust people, not logos. Like, people want to know, and especially, this is especially true in a small market like the Bahamas, where, you could see a banker or you could see the business owner in the food store on a Sunday. You could see them at church. You could see them on the soccer field. You could see them at the gym. And so, getting to know these people online really does help build trust. Visible leaders create confident customers, because when you have a leader of an organization who is consistently putting themselves out there, who is leading the charge in being proactive in building the brand of the company, that does create more confident customers, because the customers feel as though, okay, well, I am a part of this as well. And if Dr. Leo Roll from the chamber said that this is the case, then I know this got to be the case. Visible managers create aligned teams. And so if everybody's marching to the same beat, everybody's singing to the same tune, everybody's carrying the same message, that really trickles down through senior management and middle management, even to frontline staff. And so, having leadership really be proactive and being visible and intentional and strategic about their visibility online does ultimately create more aligned teams. And then, of course, visible organizations attract better partnerships, because we aren't just in business to do business with people. We want to create synergies and partnerships and relationships with other organizations who can also add value to our clients and then help carry some of that load of the client acquisition cost, right? And so leadership visibility is not about ego, it's about representation. When leaders show up, the organization feels more human. The market feels trust, and stakeholders from clients to employees become more confident in your brand. And we see this regionally. One really good person that does this is Adam Stewart from the Sandals Group. I don't know, are any of you familiar with Adam Stewart from Sandals?
No.
No, sir.
No? Well, y'all know Sandals, right? Like Sandals Royal Bohemian and the Sandals Group of hotels. Adam Stewart.
Yes, sir.
Adam Stewart is one of the forefront leaders who is really out there regionally promoting the brand. So you always see him. Locally, we have, of course, Dr. Leo Roll. Y'all will see Dr. Leo on your social media feeds and in the newspapers and on TV and stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So he is out there as a leader, really putting his voice and his image forward. And so when you think about the chamber, you say, all right, well, I know the chamber has strong leadership. And so I can get behind what they're saying because I see that they're consistently saying it often and the message is clear and concise, but the leadership is there, right? And so that's why we advise our corporate clients to make sure that you want to increase the personal brand profiles of your individual leaders. And ultimately, that will drive the increase in the personal and in the corporate brand profile. Now, when we talk about the visibility performance, this is the framework that typically we use. When we talk about presence is really where you show up. So if you think about whether you're in the newspaper, you're showing up in your clients or prospects' inboxes, through email campaigns, you're showing up on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, or even YouTube. So when we talk about where you're being seen, these are the things that we're talking about. Then you have consistency. How often are you communicating the message? And one of the things that we tell or we guide our clients through is that you don't have to say a bunch of different things. What is your core message? What is the core thing that you want the market and your audience to know and appreciate about you? And how many different ways can you reiterate that same message? As well as how many times you can actually communicate that. And so consistency is how often you communicate. Leadership, of course, is who is carrying the message. Who are the persons out there in the forefront? Who is the face of the company? Who are the messengers, so to speak, that are carrying the message to the market. And the return on investment is actually how it impacts trust, growth, and revenue. So when these four elements work together, your brand stops blending in and starts performing. Presence gets attention. Consistency builds recognition. Leadership builds trust. And we all know that because people do business with people they know, like, and trust, trust drives ROI. Okay? Now, when we talk about turning your presence into performance, we want to have an appreciation for the fact that your visibility is your reputation. Okay? Your reputation is your advantage. And so you want to start telling your story intentionally. The organizations that win are not always the biggest. They are the ones that are seen, trusted, and understood. Visibility builds credibility, and credibility drives opportunity. And so I encourage you to turn your digital footprint into ROI by incorporating these elements. All right. And so if anybody's interested in getting a free consultation for their organization, you can feel free to touch on, scan that code, and we can go from there. So that's really when we talk about from a branding content POV. That's what we're talking about in the context of business. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a while. Are there any questions, queries, or concerns on anything that I would have shared just now?
So what you're basically saying is, with branding, I noticed that you said leadership basically plays a very key role as to what happens with the brand. It's basically what you're saying, which means that leadership also has to buy in, and they have to be the face of the brand as well.
So a couple of things. So leadership is very important, and it is in the organization's best interest that leadership buys in, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, the purpose of the business is to make money, right? And if by incorporating a comprehensive, strategic, and intentional brand strategy into the overall business strategy, that is going to drive a return on investment, then it's in the company's best interest for the leadership to do that, because once leadership does put themselves out there, it does all those things that I already shared. You know, it helps build trust, it humanizes the brand. But we find that sometimes leadership is hesitant to put themselves out there because they feel, you know, I'm the top. I don't need to put myself out there. You know, why should I? But the point is that because you are the leader, you should put yourself out there. You know, the best generals throughout history, you know, lead from the front line, right? And so if you want to build trust, and not just trust in the market, but even trust within your organization, because it's one thing, you know, for you to say something behind closed doors, but if you're carrying that consistency and messaging that we are the best for our employees, that we are doing the best for our customers, you know, that's gonna carry through. Now, the challenge comes when there's an inconsistency in the message that you're telling your team and the message that you're putting out there. And so from fear of being called out, some leaders that we have found are hesitant to put themselves out there, you know, but it is really in the best interest of the company. And this is something that we try to get our clients to understand. And we say, you know, when we say social media, it isn't that you have to be out there singing and dancing on TikTok. You know, it isn't that you have to be out there doing something that is not consistent with your values and honestly your image, right? But as a leader, the people need to hear from you. And so we always encourage our leadership to get in front of the camera and however they're most comfortable doing that. But it is important that the market and their team hears the message consistently from them.
Thank you.
You're
I have
welcome.
a question. Okay, so what do you think? What is the biggest mistake businesses make when they're building their brands? Like, what are, I guess, the biggest mistake, or you give us like a few mistakes that businesses make when building their brand?
Well, I think just based on when companies come to us, they haven't found exactly what their story is, right? And sometimes they come off too salesy. Like it's always, they think in order to build a brand, like you always have to sell, right? Or come into this, or we could do this. And they make it more about them than making it about the value that they add to the market or the client. And so one of the things is, and like we have a major financial institution is one of our clients. And they came to us, and one of the challenges that they were having, they were saying, well, we aren't getting engagement, but people don't think we're Bahamian. People don't think that we're Bahamian. And so one of the things that we did was, okay, well, how can we engage the market directly, right? How can we craft the Bahamian story? Because the bank employs Bahamian employees. They live in the Bahamas. And they service Bahamian clients. And so how can you just tell how can you appear more Bahamian? Just tell the story of the people that work for you and the people that you serve. And literally that's what we were able to do. And, we've been working with them for maybe about going on 3 years now, but it does humanize the brand, right? Because now people are seeing, oh yeah, that's my cousin who's wake to that bank, and there is consistency in message, and they are doing better. It's not so that's one thing, right? Like leading with me. The organization is focusing on them and not really the people that they serve. The next mistake that I see a lot of companies make is just a lack of consistency. They do one thing and you don't hear from them or see them for another couple of weeks or months. And then they do it, but there isn't any real intentionality behind it. Like there isn't any real, it's kind of like we doing it to check a box. And so it's void of intentionality. It's void of any real feeling that can actually cause a real authentic connection between the audience or the market and them. And then it's just a lack of authenticity, and that's a word that's been being thrown around in the branding space and marketing space, this authenticity. But the reality is literally just showing up as you are, with no fluff or pretense, right? It's like, it's not something that you're pretending to be or perpetrating fraud. It's like, this is who I am. And that could be, this is who I am. I know we have made some mistakes and we have some challenges, but we're actively working towards improving them. A masterclass. Sorry. So did that answer your question with regards to some mistakes?
Yes, but I have another question because you said something, and I want to know, like, how does that affect? But you can say what you're gonna say.
No. I here to add value to you.
Okay, so you said consistency. So how does a business, when they presenting their brand, like how do they be consistent on, let's just say, all the platforms? Like how do they stay consistent?
All right. Well, so the first thing is, do you need to be on all of the platforms?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the first thing. Now we have what we call the 7-11-4 framework that we run our clients through for personal brands and corporate brands. But I tell people it's almost like working out. How much of y'all, we enter in the holiday season, eating season starts on Thursday. How much of us is being on our fitness journey? I know I on mine still.
I do.
And so, if you come out the block saying, boy, you know what? I haven't been working out consistently all year, but December, January come, I can be working out 7 days a week, right? I can do my 45 minutes cardio on Goodman's, and then I can go to the gym, and I can do that 7 days a week. How realistic is it that you're going to be doing that to go from 0 days to 7 days consistently?
It's not.
Right. And so my approach is, let's build capacity first. Like pick one platform, and let's pick something as far as a rate and a frequency of posting that we can stay, that's easiest for us to stay to. And so that may mean that, okay, well, we can go from 0 to 2 times a week, right? That means that we may go to 0 to 1 time a week. That means depending on the strategy, we may do one long form piece of content a month on YouTube, and then split that up into smaller bits that we can put on social on a topic area that adds value to our clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it all depends on what the strategy is and what you're trying to achieve. But then from there, as far as being able to post, there are tons of apps and software online that you can use. I know we use one, Matricool, that you can literally post to multiple platforms simultaneously, and it's just a matter of scheduling the post, but you have to have the content to post, right? And so the thing is that we advise our clients to do bulk shooting, right? Or, if we're running a campaign, we're going to build this library of content and then do a systematic rollout over time of the content on various platforms. But it's the same thing like working out. You want to pick something that realistically you can do most easily until you build capacity, right? To go from 0 to, I can post on 4 platforms 3 times a day. That's virtually impossible if you start from 0. And so my thing is, okay, well, let's get to, all right, several times a week. And don't worry about, because some people say, oh, well, if I only post it once a week, it can make no sense. But once a week is still better than no times a week, right? And so the goal is to build a habit. The goal is to get better. And it's just like any other thing that you work towards, small steps in the right direction beats doing nothing and making no movement at all. So that is always my approach. Like, find that one platform that you can learn and kind of master and get familiar with. You don't have to try and post on 50 million platforms. Find that one platform. That one platform is really chosen by, where are my ideal clients? Where do they live on social? Whether that's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even YouTube, and start building from there.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten any negative reviews based on your platform or your platform? Have you gotten any negative reviews, and how did or has it affected your business or your branding?
All right. And when you say my platform, you mean based on things that I've posted, have I gotten any negative feedback, negative reviews or anything from that?
Correct.
Of course. Because my grandma used to tell me, where you do good, people can talk about you. Where you do bad, people can talk about you. So you might as well do what you got to do in any event, right? The reality is that, and this is why it's important when we're talking about as a personal brand and as a business brand to be authentic, right? To be authentic, to present your true self. Your truth is your truth. And if your intentions are to provide value and not to misrepresent yourself or your organization, and something bad happens, you own it and you share, okay, well, yes, you know what, we made a mistake, but this is what we're doing to correct it, right? Yes, this person may have had a bad experience, but this is what we're doing to correct it. We use that as feedback. If you watch closely, y'all know who Theo Seeley is?
Yes.
What is he doing now?
I know he was a news anchor, eh?
Right.
I'm not sure what he is now.
Anybody knows what he's doing now?
I think I mean, I don't know if I think he got a contract with Disney to design some stuff for them.
Right.
I think that sometime last year.
Yeah, and he did that, one of the first creators outside of that. But if you want a masterclass, right, happening as it's happening in taking control of your story, Theo was recently appointed director of communications for Bahamas Power and Light, for BPL, right? And with his news background and, you know, knowing him personally, Theo is at his core a storyteller. And even if you learn, if like you follow him in his personal page, he is a storyteller from when he was in the news, when he was sharing the stuff with Disney, and even now with this BPL thing. But what he is doing now is he is telling the story of BPL. And honestly, if you aren't following BPL on Instagram, I would encourage you to do it, because that right now is literally a masterclass in how to, because the first thing, when I say BPL, what is the first thought that comes to your mind?
Electricity bills.
Right. You know, is power going out, power bill high. But what he's doing now is he's introducing a new set of characters, for lack of a better term, starting with the leadership. I only knew within, you know, the last couple of weeks or months since Theo started at BPL that the CEO of BPL was a woman from Long Island. You all knew that?
No, so
See,
No.
I didn't know that. She's a woman from Long Island who like comfort and go out rough, but who has grown up in the organization, and that's something that I didn't know. But through the stories that he's telling, you know, when the stuff happened down in Eleuthera and Abaco and stuff like that, you know, the plant was pretty much shut down. There's the fires. And these guys on the ground, they're sharing now the work that they're doing, because all we know about BPL is that they always turning the light off because the power can't stay on and our light bill high. We don't know the story. And so through Theo's expert storytelling, now those who are listening are watching, are becoming more sensitized to the story. We're becoming more familiar. And the fact is that had he not been doing that, y'all would not now have this information that, hey, you know, maybe BPL is someplace that y'all should check out from a storytelling standpoint, of a company that's really working to take control of the narrative, take control of their reputation through intentional, strategic storytelling of their brand story. So y'all go do that. Go follow BPL.
Okay, I have one more question.
You know, thing, Barry, I like answering questions.
Okay, so let's just say I wanted to build content on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
to my personal brand? Like, what exactly are the first steps that I should take in order to do that?
All right. I love that question. Personal branding is actually one of my favorite types. And so, what I'm going to do for the purpose of this exercise, just to give you an appreciation for what we should be doing, let me see if I could share my screen. Okay, there you go. All right, y'all can see that. Foundations of personal branding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I shared the wrong screen. Hold on, wait. Okay. Okay, so you asked what are the first things that you should do if you are talking about
If I want to do
your personal brand, right?
yes.
All right, and so one of the things is that we want to focus on, it's called identity mapping, right? And this is a very useful exercise. And what it entails is thinking about who you are, what you do, and what you want to become, right? A lot of people get caught up on thinking of what they should do. Whereas if you think about what do you want to become, ultimately saying what is the end goal of all of this, like why are you creating content on TikTok? What is the purpose of that? And then kind of reverse engineer from there. But a big part of this is this identity mapping, right? Defining your personal brand. And literally what that is that you're going to brainstorm a list of as many identifiers as possible, right? And so in my instance, when we did this, I think we came up with something like 276 different identifiers, right? When you think about it, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a fitness enthusiast, I'm a forever learner, I am a award-winning documentary filmmaker, I am a published photographer, I am a director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. I am a friend. I am a mentor. I am also a student. I am also a mentee. And so when you think about who you are and all of the roles that you play in the various areas of your life, this is what that exercise is. Write all of those things down, including your roles, your professions, your passions, lifestyle traits. I am now also a travel enthusiast because my wife liked to go away. I am away right now. And so, like all of these things. But the purpose of this is to help you identify different audience segments that you can relate to. And this also helps you shape your content. Okay? Barry, that's clear? I know you told me your name wasn't Barry, but Barry on your.
Yes, it is clear, and I like how the way you answer gives me a segue into another question that I be pondering. In reference to the personal branding, do you think it opens up career jobs when you advertise yourself, or even business opportunities?
Yes. So as a business owner, me being intentional about my personal brand actually does drive business for me, right? Me sharing my thoughts, my life, my experiences does drive business for me in many different ways, right? It's multifaceted. But the short answer is yes, it does, right? Now, does it open up business opportunities? That all depends because it depends on the type of content that you're sharing with your personal brand, right? your personal brand, if you, let's say for instance, and I want to add value. And so if you want to share like exactly, is this a question that you are kind of working through? And if it is, if you want to share, I can kind of use you as opposed to hypothetical or some.
Yes, it was just hypothetical.
Okay.
But let's say, okay, what's the last thing I watched on TikTok? Gym influencers.
Gym influencers.
Yes.
Okay, so this is perfect because I don't know, any of y'all know Bowflex Bobby?
I hear of, but on TikTok I'll see certain things, but I don't know her personally. No.
Right, I know her personally. That's my wife. But she is also one of my personal branding clients, right? And so this is perfect fitness, right? And so when you look at her personal brand on her personal page, she shares stuff like, of course, where she's working out. She's working out, like she just competed in a competition here in Washington. That's actually where we are now. And, she shares her journey, right? Like this is what she's doing. She also shares when she goes out. She does a little bit of makeup stuff. But she shares her lifestyle, right? Because for her, fitness isn't just like something that you do, is really the way that you live. So through her sharing her personal journey, her lifestyle, it does. And then people say, how that drives actual business is, oh my God, you look so good in that dress. You going out on date night with your husband. I want a body like that. Or, oh wow, I see you use this supplement. What is that good for? Right? And so what it does is that, in addition to actually creating opportunities for you to engage directly with your audience on things that you can actually provide services for, it does make you more relatable as a human being. It's like, and we know that increased visibility breeds trust, trust breeds ROI. And so that is also true in personal branding, right? Now, when you talk about somebody who owns a gym, they aren't just a gym owner. They aren't just maybe a personal trainer. They are also an entrepreneur, right? And so even as far as maybe sharing some of the challenges and the wins of the business of fitness, right? Sharing things that add value. One of my coaches always said that you have to add value to the market before you can get paid from the market. And so what are some of the things that this gym owner can do through their personal brand that shares? Maybe they can share or showcase, hey, you know what? This is a day in the life of a gym owner. I drop my kids to school and then I go to open up the gym. I train clients. I do this. I do all, and just kind of share their story and share what they're doing. So, being intentional about your personal brand, especially as a business owner, 100% drives business, right? Being intentional about your personal brand as an employee, as a professional, definitely does create greater opportunities for you, even within your own organization, right? That could look like, let's say, for instance, you are in the insurance field, right? You're in the insurance field, you want to position yourself as an authority in the insurance space. How do you do that? Well, you teach the market about insurance. Hey guys, Ethan Kwan here. I'm your favorite insurance agent. Let me break down the difference, first of all, between health and medical insurance. I don't even know if there is a difference between the two. I mean, this is me, Ethan, not the insurance expert, because that's not what I am. But this person who is an insurance expert could break down topics that, as an industry expert, may seem so obvious to them, but to the common person in the market, it provides so much value because now, through you adding value to me, through you educating me, through you giving me information, I become a more informed consumer. And even though I may not need insurance today, if I always see you talking about insurance, when I do need insurance, who do you think I can go?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so either way, it works. But I think the biggest thing is, what is the intention? Right now, if you're an insurance person and you want to build more insurance, or you want to get, more business in insurance, it may or may not make sense for all of your brand content to talk about politics or John Canoe. Now, if you are a political advocate and enthusiast, you love politics and you love John Canoe, that's perfectly fine. But if the goal is to position yourself as an expert in insurance, the content that you create should be aligned with that. Does that make sense?
It does.
And so you can have a variety of content, but the question is, if somebody was to find you on social, on YouTube, wherever, can they sit down and consume all of your content that's on brand for 24 hours? And if the answer is no, you don't have enough content out there.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, thank you. That's all of my questions.
No, man, keep them coming. I don't know how much time you have, Leo, but I could do this thing all night. Like I really love it. But as far as building the personal brand, like I was saying, looking at the presentation, looking at the slide, who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? What impact do you want to have? How do you want to serve? And where do you want to be positioned in the market? The purpose is knowing what we want to become will help us map out the things that we need to do. So if we lead with what do we want to become? Case in point, I really wanted to become intentional about positioning myself as a brand expert for personal brands and corporate brands. So what did that look like? I had the knowledge, but a lot of people may not have known, unless you know me personally or we've worked together, know that, I have these expertise. And so one of the things that I did was I started producing more content around it. And then also I started getting out in the front of more people, booking more speaking engagements, talking to more people about brand. And so now when somebody says, you know what, I need to talk about somebody, I need somebody who knows branding, I am top of mind. And because my company does it, my company gets mentioned and kind of gets the spin-off effect of that as well. Because I'm always going to introduce in this space myself as Ethan Kwan, founder and CEO of Lifestyles Digital Media Group. Questions, queries, concerns? No, boy, yours go straight to the head of the class, man. Everybody here so sharp.
And I think it was absolutely amazing. As you know, this is a very small and intimate class, but the amount of questions, the dialogue, I think it shows that, one, there's a level of discourse that they enjoyed. You can always tell when they enjoy something, but also, too, that it was a learning experience, because a lot of things that they see in the text and that they've learned over the past 8 to 10 weeks is now coming to light. It's coming to fruition. They get to see it firsthand. They get to hear it firsthand from someone who is a master curator and able to explain what they've been reading and how what they've been reading actually works. So I think this was absolutely amazing, Ethan. Class, do you agree with me?
Yes, I agree.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Quant. I don't know if you have any parting words, but we're just about out of time. Let me know.
Yeah, no, I'm grateful for the opportunity to share and add value. And I hope they did scan my QR code. But if anybody has any questions outside of this, Doc, you can feel free to give them my contacts. I'm always here to be of service.
Definitely will. Thank you again, Ethan. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the work Lifestyle has done. And class, this is not someone that I would have called just out of the hat. As you've seen the chamber, you've heard him speak about our rebranding, our reimaging. This year was a voting year for the chamber, and in its 88 as the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, but over 17, 18, 19, 20, over 300 years as an organization, we have never had the amount of impetus to join our board in terms of persons putting themselves forward as directors. This is the first time in its 300 year as the Employers Confederation and the Chamber of Commerce, two different companies, but 88 years as the one company where we've seen this level of input. And I must attribute most of that to our visibility, because we haven't done anything completely different that we've done before other than increase our visibility, increase our awareness, increase our branding, increase our PR, and we've used no other organization or no other company from I joined 2 years ago almost, other than Lifestyle Digital Media. And so it's a pure example of how visibility, credibility, putting yourself forward, creating this image where people see it, they feel it, they want to be a part of the movement. We see where that has landed. And we narrowed down the over 100 applicants to 36. Ethan was, of course, one of those 14 that was victorious. So he's now a board member of the chamber, but the organization could not have done it without the level of support and influence that comes with an organization like Lifestyle Digital. So I thought it fitting to make sure that he comes out and explains to you all that you've been reading over the past 8 to 10 weeks, so that you can have a real life layman's term example of what it means to increase your visibility, to increase your awareness, to refine your brand, even if it's something that has been being done for almost 100 years, as with the chamber. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks
See
again.
you all on Wednesday.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.